By the time one arrives at the second gate, it is clear that one has entered a very different environment. Anyone would say that the geography and the geology has changed, and a fair number of visitors have often exclaimed that the energy has changed as well. And now things again begin to shift. The paved road ends, and the open range and the ever-deepening canyon begins. And that sign over there says, entering Cibola National Forest. This word, Cibola, has quite a bit behind it. All of these 7 gates and much of this national forest are located inside Cibola County. This county is the newest county in New Mexico and the second newest county anywhere in the United States of America. Statistics claim that in terms of size, it is within the top 10% of American counties, but within the area of income and population, it appears often in the bottom 10%. The area is quite well known as a boom and bust location. In the early days, the largest cattle ranch in New Mexico was here. Then came the railroad, which needed lumber for the construction of the transcontinental path, and that led to a cog railroad closely paralleling the 7 gates and leading up into vast logging opportunities. All of that essentially dried up around 1940, but by then, enterprising Mormons had built some dams, which allowed the area to become known as the Carrot Capital of America. As that agricultural boom passed, a Navajo gentleman named Paddy Martinez stumbled across a yellow-looking stone and went home to tell his wife that they were going to be rich. And he was right. And indeed, the area quickly bloomed again and became known as the uranium capital of America. And so it was until the meltdown at 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania, which virtually ended the market for uranium for many years. But it was during that boom time that financial and political leaders worked together to establish a new county with a new county seat and a new hospital and a new community college and more. Now, today, it is 3 large prisons and the potential to be among the largest producers of medical marijuana that seems to hold the current economy together, along with 3 different factories within 2 miles of each other, all producing simple, small sheds and cabins and tiny homes. But perhaps more importantly, in terms of our journey, up to the Continental Divide and deep into the forest is the name and legends surrounding the word Cibola. This area has been occupied by native Pueblo people for at least 10 centuries, and probably more like 25 centuries and more. When the first Europeans came to explore this area, long before the settlements at Jamestown and Plymouth, they were driven by an immense desire for gold and glory. And there are 2 different legends out here about what happened next. By far, the most popular story about all of this goes as follows. The native peoples, in their desire to have the white Europeans move on and leave them alone, realized that these Europeans were obsessed about something called gold. So in order to get rid of them, they spoke often about 7 cities of gold, which, somehow, were always much farther to the west. In other words, it was a clever trick, which seemed to work, and the European explorers most often moved on in search of 7 lost cities filled with gold. The 7 lost cities of Cibola, as they were called. The other story is much less known, yet perhaps has even deeper wisdom. Essentially, it involves the apparent fact that what held and sustained these native pueblo or villages was a very deep and profound and much respected understanding of life and the planet, and indeed the solar system and beyond. This high wisdom was passed down often in underground chambers called kivas, and it was considered to be the most valuable thing a person could search for and seek to find. So, this second story suggests that when the native elders listened to these Europeans with their hunger for gold, it was interpreted that they were hungry and looking for the golden teachings of this ancient and deep wisdom, because nothing had higher value than that. And the truth was that there were at that time several pueblos to the west and north, which indeed seemed to be filled with this golden wisdom. Among them perhaps the Acoma and the Zuni and the Hopi, and even more the amazing settlements around Aztec, New Mexico, and within Chaco Canyon. So as we pass the second gate, we enter into perhaps an ancient land where someday these 7 ancient cities of gold and golden wisdom might again be discovered and inhabited.